Joseph Kosinski, director of Top Gun Maverick, has once again channeled his inner Tony Scott and delivered a movie that is everything a summer blockbuster should be. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it! Do it!
Sonny Hayes was Formula One's most promising driver until an accident on the track nearly ended his career. 30 years later, the owner of a struggling Formula One team convinces Sonny to return to racing and potentially become the best in the world. Put quite simply, when you look at this movie from a bare-bones standpoint, it does for race cars what Top Gun Maverick did for fighter jets.
That makes sense.
I do not recall ever watching any other racing film and becoming this immersed in whatever I was seeing. You quite literally feel like you are being put in the driver's seat. And director Joseph Kosinski and the cinematographer for this film deserve all the credit in the world for just how intense and thrilling these racing sequences are. When some people say that certain movies are meant to be seen on the biggest screen possible, this is the type of movie that they are talking about. This movie is a throwback through and through, and anyone who is familiar with or has any kind of love for the Tony Scott, Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer films of the 90s, I almost guarantee you that this movie will give you the same type of feeling that a lot of those movies did.
I like it a lot.
I mean, it has the scope, it has the excitement, it has a human element that keeps this larger-than-life concept somewhat grounded. In fact, I would say that it is one of the more well-rounded movies I've seen in some time when it comes to giving you a complete cinematic experience. An experience that effortlessly takes you through the ups and downs of this very relatable and entertaining story. Brad Pitt, ladies and gentlemen, is in full movie star mode in this film. And I have to say that outside of Tom Cruise himself, I don't know that there's many people left in Hollywood, other than these two, that consistently put themselves in the best position to do what they do best, and that's entertain people. Just tell a good story. It's literally that simple with these two, and they understand that. And it's going to be a sad day when stars like this no longer bless our movie screens. I mean, I think he really pulls this off in his performance. And the crazy thing about that is, he really doesn't have to do that much, but I still feel like he does the most with what he is given, and he is absolutely a commanding presence every time he is on screen.
What's in the box?
His cool factor is undeniable. He is obviously a throwback to a time when movie characters embraced their masculinity. He plays the aging hotshot driver who is searching for one last thrill and that elusive victory that has evaded him for his entire troubled career. Sure, it sounds a bit cliche, but as I always say, it's okay to have familiar elements if you put a little bit more time and effort to how you execute them. And I think Brad Pitt's character in this film is another great example of when some cliches still work. There is just something that is always going to be fun about the badass character archetype that is returning to do what he does best.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Now that's not to say that this is not a flawed character. He very much has baggage, both mentally and physically. And that baggage is very much used to stack the deck against him in his quest for redemption. And of course, whenever you have the veteran hotshot character, you know they're going to have to add the young hotshot character for them to compete with. And that character comes in the form of Damson Idris's Joshua Pierce, who has some great back and forth banter with Brad Pitt's character. Now, I've heard Damson's name a lot thrown around as a possible replacement for Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. And based on his performance in this movie alone, I can definitely see him pulling it off. Joshua in this movie is one of those characters that you know has a ton of potential, but his young social media obsessed ways tend to get in the way of him achieving greatness. It creates this interesting dynamic where both characters, young and old, clearly allow their own faults to get in their way, which ironically makes them more alike than they initially realize.
You son of a bitch.
I also love the whole team dynamic on display in this film. Even if you are someone who knows absolutely nothing about Formula One team racing, like myself, I think this film does a great job of helping you understand it without coming off as super exposition-y. I love how they show the intricacies of racing, how they show the team strategizing and even bending the rules to achieve their goal. And that's part of what helps you easily get sucked into this world, because it did feel like the attention to detail was there. I wouldn't be surprised if actual Formula One racers were heavily involved in the creative process in an advisory role. Because I have to say, everything about this film from the outside looking in felt very authentic to me.
What is real? How do you define real?
This movie clocks in at a little over 2 hours and 30 minutes, and to me it did not feel that long, and I didn't feel like it wasted a minute of that runtime. They created a nice pace for this film where they seemingly constantly keep the action moving, but they also give you just enough downtime without giving you too much, to where we get to learn a little bit more about these characters and it helps the audience care about them. If I had to point out anything about this movie that I would have done differently, I did feel like Javier Bardem was somewhat underutilized. There just wasn't a ton for his character to do in this film. And the romance angle really didn't hit for me either. I do realize that that is a common plot point in movies like this. And it wasn't anything that ruined the movie for me, but the relationship between Brad Pitt's character and Carrie Condon's character did feel a tad bit underdeveloped. That being said, that's not why we bought a ticket to watch this film. Why we bought a ticket to watch this film is for the racing, and in that aspect, the movie delivers.
We give them what they want!
Now there's a ton of up and downs throughout all of the racing scenes as expected. I mean, we experience the agony of defeat, we get typical sports movie-esque montages that I don't think are in movies enough anymore. And I'm also not exaggerating when I say the final act climax, the final race of this film, is easily one of the most exhilarating and inspiring sequences I've seen in any movie in some time. I literally went through an entire range of emotions while watching this one sequence in this film. I mean, I felt legitimate tension. I was on the edge of my seat, and there were even times where I had legit goosebumps on my arm while watching it. You see, this is what a well-done, big action set piece is supposed to do. It's supposed to be the culmination of the emotional elements of the film that make you care, combined with the heart-stopping, well-orchestrated, well-shot, pure entertainment moments. And this film's climax delivers on that 10 times over.
Give me all you got! Give me all you got!
You can tell that the people involved know exactly what to do when it pertains to entertaining their audience. I strongly believe that this sequence alone could be studied in film schools everywhere when it comes to teaching future filmmakers how to deliver a proper and satisfying conclusion to their film. I also refuse to overlook this film's use of music. I think it uses well-known popular songs effectively when necessary. But also the man, the myth, the legend, Hans Zimmer, delivers a synth-inspired score in this film, which feels somewhat out of character for him, but it also just so happens to be one of the best and most memorable scores in a film that I've heard in some time. It just set the whole tone of the film for me, and 100% enhanced the experience like a good score should.
You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
This film also provides great relatable messages about recognizing what's important in life, understanding what you want your legacy to be, and following your passion regardless of where it takes you. Money isn't everything, staying true to oneself, and being self-aware about your own flaws. This is one of those movies that just felt so inspiring to me, like movies used to feel. Bottom line, I think F1 overall is easily one of the best films of the year. It gave me everything that I once had and that I'd been recently looking for in a summer blockbuster. In fact, I was hard-pressed to find much in the way of flaws, and that's exactly why I'm going to give F1 the elusive Bill and Ted.
Excellent!
Y'all be cool.
Shut up.